Welcome to video 2 in this special video series where you're going to look over my shoulder and watch me wholesale this house in St. Clair Shores, Michigan. On the part 1 video, I explained how I found the deal as well as how I ran the numbers to determine the ideal buy price that would allow me to wholesale it for a profit. Now, if you missed that video, stop right now and watch it first, then come back to this video. I'll put the link in the description below for you. On this part 2 video, I'm going to show you how I negotiated and secured the deal at my desired buy price. And again, I'll show you how I use Flipster to manage the steps and process. Flipster is a wholesaling and house flipping system that has all the tools to organize, streamline, and automate all of the steps for finding and wholesaling houses. Now, to see it in action and test drive it for free, just go to joinflipster.com. On the part 1 video, we left off with the agent telling us that the seller was willing to take $180,000. But in order for this deal to work, I need to get it for $170,000 so that I can wholesale it to a flipper for $180,000 and make a $10,000 profit. Now, you also remember that there is a foundation issue that I need to figure out. So now let's cut to a call where I spoke to the agent, Laura. On that call, we talk about the foundation, I gather more information, and most importantly, I establish a relationship of trust and basically win her over to work with me. Take a listen to that call and we'll talk about what happened. Hi, Laura. This is Jerry. How are you?
Hey, Jerry. Doing well. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, so we really are interested in this property. Thank you for sending those pictures of the basement. We've dealt with a lot of soggy basements. It's pretty common in Michigan.
Yep.
So I've got a really good basement guy, and he can pretty much take care of any type of basement issue. I just don't know what it's going to cost.
Water that was coming in, he believes is through some of the cracks in the block and the mortar, and maybe one glass block window leaking down. So he was showing me, where he could see the signs of the leaks. And again, this basement wasn't full of an inch of water when I was there. It was just moist around, the walls after the torrential downpour.
Yeah, it's something you definitely want to get your head around because if we flip it, then the biggest thing that scares buyers away is soggy basements,
Yeah.
So we'd want to really get that solved. And, that's the only thing. If it wasn't for that, then it's a fairly cosmetic rehab. Everything else is pretty cut and dry, nothing too tricky or expensive or scary. And we're cash, we can close in 30 days. I can show you proof of funds. I can put down a decent earnest money. We can make it happen. What's the interest been like so far? I know you're reaching out to a few other people.
I'm meeting a couple people over there this afternoon, and then another local agent I've worked with who has an investor who's not scared of
basements,
basement issues.
Yeah.
He said he's taking his guy over this afternoon too. So we're having a couple people check it out who might want to throw their hat in the ring on this one.
Gotcha. Tell me how you want to handle buyer's commission. I have a real estate license in Michigan, but I don't use it because I'd rather come unrepresented and let you have that side of the commission. Are you able to do that?
First of all, I wouldn't take more than what I've already, my 3%. So they're willing to pay 3% to a buyer's agent, or if you wanted us to just, I've talked to him just about the net. If they're not paying a buyer's agent, then your offer is that much stronger. So whichever way, but I don't keep that additional 3%. It's the seller that benefits.
So that's about $5,000-ish,
Yeah, exactly. This is a friend's father. So trying to help him so he could sleep at night.
So you would rather take that 2.5-3% buyer side, bottom line, it would be that much less asking for the seller to pay in commission.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. No way am I collecting any more than.
Is that just in this situation, or is that your policy all the time?
It's become my norm. I do so much in this small world community, and almost everyone is a friend or family at the end of the day.
Okay. The reason why I ask is because we do that so that we can create a long-term strategic relationship.
Right.
Because if you know that you can get compensated well, by working with us, then we're the ones you call when you get a distressed property. The perfect situation is you sit down with a seller, and prior to going active, you give us a call, and if the number meets the seller's needs, then we can take care of everything off market. If that situation fits, then that's ideal.
Yeah. Obviously saves me weeks of my life. I'm a single mom, so to stop running over and showing houses, that's a win-win.
And they're hard because, they need work, and you get buyers and inspections and appraisals and all the things. We can avoid all of that. And it doesn't have to be a commission from the seller. Especially with the new NAR guidelines, we're more than happy to pay a buyer's agent commission to you directly. That way it's not coming from the seller. Is that something you would do too? I mean, would that change the situation for you?
If I wasn't collecting out of his proceeds?
Right.
Yeah. I'm just now wrapping my mind around how these settlements are changing the way we do business. My background is education, working with kids well before it was in the sales business. So I've always just operated under do the right thing and the money will follow.
Yeah,
But
that's a good policy.
I need to have these conversations so I can understand how to best position myself and my clients.
So here's how it has to work now is on the buyer side, you have to sign a buyer's agent agreement with your buyer prior to really showings and making offers.
Yeah.
And the seller can no longer advertise the commission to the buyer. It still can be paid by the seller, but that's just negotiated each and every time.
Yep.
And so what a lot of buyers will do, especially investors, I think, is since they're, capitalized, is they can just pay the buyer's agent directly and not ask the seller.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about the net to the seller.
Right.
I'm always factoring that in, but I'm more than happy to pay you and pay you well to be the buyer's agent on distressed real estate that we can buy that's for investing, right? Because again, if I know you're out there sitting down with sellers every day and you're running across distressed real estate, that's what we're looking for. In essence, you're out there bird dogging for me and bringing good deals, and I'll compensate you well for that.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that opportunity. Only a fraction of my business is distressed properties, but I live. Do you know the Detroit?
Yeah. I've been investing there for 20 years. Oakland and Macomb mostly.
So I live in Grosse Pointe Park, which is a block and a half from Blight in Detroit.
Okay.
There's big disparities in a lot of distressed properties within a half hour of me, I'd say. If we were able to work something out of this property or in the future, I'd be open to that.
Yeah, great. I mean, you could even do it where you tell the seller there's no commission you have to pay at all. It's all being taken care of from my investor. He's handling it if you want. You could either say, hey, you cover me on the list side and I've got a buyer and he'll take care of the other side. Don't worry about it. It's no longer just a set thing like it used to be. It's all negotiable. So
when I do list now, I get 1,000 calls from every agent saying, are they going to pay buyer's agent commission?
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, what a step backwards this feels like. In terms of creating more work and less clarity, but maybe you understand the upside better than I.
I'm just pivoting and adapting with what is.
What do you have in mind for this property today? Would you like me to touch base with you later in the day after I see how things go, or do you have an offer you'd like?
I've got a number I want to be at, but I also don't want it to slip away for a few bucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is there a way I could have like last shot at it?
I mean, everything's up to the seller. Everything I do,
I guess what I mean is... I guess what I mean is, hey, if you could be at this number with these terms, that would get it done.
Yeah.
In the perfect world, I'd want to be at 170.
Here's the thing. He told me he just wants this done today. So a week ago, I never would have thought we'd be talking about a deal below 180. But in a few hours, I'll have a better idea if that's what it's going to come to.
Okay. Well, that's where I'd like to be, but then if you could let me know, like, hey, come in here and we can get it done because you're close.
Well, we already have someone right there. I already have more confidence in you based on our conversation. Not that you've sent me anything yet. Usually I don't have a lot of confidence in sight unseen offers, but clearly you've bought a lot of properties in this area.
Well, you know what I could do too? Maybe this will be helpful. Let me get a hold of my basement guy and see if he can get out there like right now.
I'm going to be there at 2. I'm showing it from 2 o'clock and a 2:15. So I could meet him there a little bit before that or a little bit after that.
Because then what I could do is I could waive my contingency and then my offer will be even stronger to your seller.
That would be huge. One of these already doesn't have a inspection contingency. He was already there himself and knows what he's looking at. So that would
I got to get that done because I have to beat another similar offer that has no contingency.
Correct.
But just know that we can get a number locked up and solid today. I don't want to miss it. So I'll call my guy. I'll see if he can get there at 1:30. Then he'll tell me what the number is. Then I'll have a whole lot more certainty on, that bottom line cash price.
Yeah. I live nearby, so I just need 15 minutes lead time to get there.
Perfect.
There's a lockbox and an alarm. Okay.
Awesome. That sounds great.
Perfect. Okay. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks.
We'll be in touch shortly.
Thanks,
Okay, bye.
Laura.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
So a lot happened on that 9-minute call. Let me explain and summarize the strategy behind this call. First of all, notice how I focused on the basement issue. And I did that for 2 reasons. One, I need to understand how extensive the issue is and how much it will cost to fix. And two, I'm focusing on the big scary issue on purpose to justify my lower offer price. Also notice how I figured out who I'm competing with. There are 2 other serious buyers looking at it too, so I got her to give me some insights on where I need to be to win the deal, and that's when I discovered that I needed to waive my inspection, but to do that, I needed to find out the cost to fix the basement. So we ended the call with me getting my basement guy to go to the property and give me a bid to fix the foundation, which he did. Now, the other thing I want to point out is that I made it a priority to build a relationship with Laura, not just talk about the deal in hand. Now, I did that by not only sounding competent about what I'm doing, but also by focusing on future business and how I can become her go-to cash buyer for distressed properties. And this is very important. I want her to view me as someone she can work with ongoing, do a lot of deals with, and make a lot of money with over time. Now, I really liked this agent, Laura. She's smart, she knows what's going on with the property, and she values creating strategic relationships. After we hung up the phone, I called my basement repair guy, Joe, who stopped at the property and gave me a bid to fix the foundation for $75,000, which fits in the $35,000 rehab budget. So I called back the agent, Laura, to lock up the deal. Take a listen. So I had a chance to talk to the basement guy, and he's like one of the best. He's really reasonable. I've never found anybody that can do basement work at a better price. I've been using him for, I don't know, probably 10, 15 years. You met him, right?
Yeah, he was very knowledgeable. The guy who I was showed the house to after saw Joe leave. He's like, "Oh, he's the best." And I laughed. I'm like, "That's what I keep hearing."
Yeah, he's a good contact. If you want his contact, I'll send it to you.
Thanks.
Basically, what he's saying is he's got to set up what they call fortress waterproofing straps to stop the movement on that wall. His price on that is $7,500.
Okay. He explained most of that and actually showed me exactly where the straps would go. The foundation cracks and the water coming through above the waterproofing seems to be the issue right now.
Is that what's scaring away other buyers?
It is. I'll bring you back up to speed on what's occurred since we spoke earlier. We have a total of 5 offers, not including yours. I would say 3 are low, and then 2 are the strong in the running, and those are 174 and 175. One has an inspection contingency, and the other does not. So those 2 are both cash offers in the 170s.
Okay. What does their earnest money look like?
It's small. On the one, I don't know I can't recall the other. I haven't even presented yet to my client. He's in assisted living. I have to print everything and drive there and present. But right now I'm in the car taking my kids to their summer award ceremony for camp. So it's one of those busy nights. I know the numbers have to work for you, and I know the basement's complicated. You do the part with the carbon fiber straps and fix the foundation. And either way, I really was impressed with the contract you sent over so much that I want to send him to my own dad's house in Grosse Pointe. But, I definitely have had other investors who say, it's a lot of money for the cosmetic flip on the first floor and taking into account what the basement's going to need. So I hear you.
Yeah. One thing I could do for sure would be, now that I've got my head around that, is I can waive any inspection. Mm-hmm. So that puts me in the running with one of those, right? Because
yep.
It's very easy to back out if you have a contingency.
It just happened on one of my other houses.
Yeah.
And I don't want this client to go through that. He's just not sleeping. That's why he wants this to happen. Not having a contingency is a huge value add.
The other thing that maybe you can use as leverage is earnest money, because a small earnest money is also easy to walk from. Sometimes people will say no contingency and then they'll put $500 down, and that's still easy to walk from.
Yeah. We all lose $500 all the time, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. Whereas I could do like $5,000.
So that would definitely strengthen your offer. I think if you can come close on price, I can talk to him about risk and the sure thing, because I know he doesn't want to risk me having to try to recollect offers 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, go through this whole thing all over again.
Mm-hmm.
And it never looks good when something goes pending and then active again. So there's that. Do you think there's any shot if I try to stay at 170 with no inspection and a $5,000 earnest money?
And no buyer agent commission?
Correct.
But I think that I could. Here's the thing. This seller really trusts me. He knows because he's my friend's dad, I'm going to treat him like I would my dad. And I want to have the least amount of risk possible moving forward because he's suffering. It's just not well. Yeah.
I'll come through and perform because I'm not going to walk from $5,000.
Right. It's a great house. I enjoyed my time there, and
I agree.
It's beautiful. People walking by with their dogs. Everyone's friendly.
And I think I could push it on price. There's some decent comps over there.
I sold a house smaller than that in St Clair Shores for $295.
I think I could hit that number if I do it right. It's bigger than all the 1,000 square footers. There is a comp that sold for $320 on Shady Lane, one street up.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still trying to get it done tonight, or will it be tomorrow?
Well, I'm going to give him a call as soon as I park and just catch him up on where we're at. And I have a feeling he's going to tell me to drive up to him in the morning to get it signed.
Okay.
Okay. So, I mean, if I write it up tonight, it won't be till like 9. But I could try to get you a verbal before then.
Perfect.
Okay.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Laura. I'm excited to work with you ongoing on deals.
Likewise. Thank you, Derek. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so we talked about the basement issue some more, and we went over the cost to fix it. And again, I'm over focusing on the basement issue to justify needing a lower price. Now, eventually she comes right out and says, I have 2 other serious offers, one at $174 and one at $175, one with an inspection, one without. So then I offer to remove my inspection contingency, which means I'm only competing with one other offer, and the other offer with no inspection had a low earnest money deposit. So let me explain earnest money and how I leverage that. Earnest money is a good faith deposit that is paid upfront and held in escrow by the title company. When you close, the earnest money is applied towards the purchase. If you don't perform and all the contingencies are met, you would forfeit your earnest money to the seller. Earnest money is basically insurance to the seller that you will perform. With my offer, since I'm cash and I removed any contingencies, the earnest money becomes what we call hard or non-refundable. That means if I don't perform, I would forfeit my earnest money. It also means that a bigger earnest money is a stronger offer because it gives the seller more certainty. By the way, when you wholesale, the earnest money is refunded to you at closing. So to beat the other offer, I told her I'd pay $5,000 in earnest money, but I told her I had to stay at $170. Now, what if you don't have $5,000 to offer for earnest money? Well, first of all, I may have been able to only offer $500 or $1,000 in earnest money and still get the deal. But here's my answer. If you knew that you could get a great deal with a $5,000 earnest money that you could wholesale for $10,000, you'd borrow it from someone or you'd find a way. So even though there were offers higher than mine, I tried to beat them on the terms of my offer, and I did a good job gaining Laura's confidence because she basically said that the seller trusts her to choose the best offer, and then she had the most confidence in me and was going to take my offer to the seller to accept and sign. And FYI, side note, I also fix and flip a lot in Metro Detroit. So at this point, I was still undecided if I was going to keep it and fix and flip it or wholesale it to another investor. I like to have both options available to me. So now that I negotiated the price and terms, the next step is to secure the deal with a written contract. Because this deal is on market, the agent writes the offer using her state-approved contract, but I still need to make sure the offer has everything we agreed on and also everything I need to wholesale the deal. I call this an offer sheet, which is built right into Flipster. By the way, for off-market deals, Flipster has built-in digital contracts to send directly to sellers, but let me show you the offer sheet. Going back to the workflow, step 4 is the contract. Click Agent Offer Sheet. Now let's quickly fill this out. Under buyer name address, I'll put my LLC. I'm the member who can sign, and there's my address. Now let me pause a second because I know I'll get this question. You don't need an LLC to do your first deal, but why wait? You look more legit, you get tax benefits and write-offs, and it's easy and inexpensive to set up. I'll put my CPA in the description below this video who will set up your LLC for free other than the state filing cost. Okay, back to the offer sheet. Number 2 is the price, $170,000. Number 3, this is a cash offer. Number 4 is proof of funds. Let's talk about that for a second. With agents, they almost always want a proof of funds letter, which if you're a pro or prime level subscriber to Flipster, you get unlimited custom proof of funds letters for as many offers as you want. And I'll show you that in a minute, but that alone makes Flipster worth the subscription. Number 5, put free and clear title. Number 6, we are waiving the inspection. Number 7, we agreed to $5,000 non-refundable earnest money. Number 8, put closing is 30 days from accepted offer. Now 30 days is my standard days to close so that I have time to find a buyer. We can always move it up if my buyer can close sooner, which is what ended up happening on this deal. Number 9, since this property is vacant, I want the seller to agree in writing that I can have access to the property so that I can get my cash buyers to see it without having to get permission. Now, if it's occupied, I would put seller to give buyer access with 24-hour notice. Number 10 is seller agrees to close with buyer's title of choice. That way you can make sure that you use a wholesaler-friendly closing company. And number 11, I added that appliances were to be included. Now, once the offer sheet is created, I save it and then email it directly to the agent. Okay, now let's look at the proof of funds letter. All you do is input the info about the buyer, the address, and the price, and Flipster automatically generates a custom verifiable proof of funds letter that you can email directly to the agent. So after sending the offer sheet and the proof of funds letter, that night Laura wrote up the contract with everything I gave her in the offer sheet, and she emailed it to me to sign. The following morning, she printed it off, drove to the seller at the nursing home, and he signed it, and we were officially under contract. And as you can see, Flipster is invaluable, so if you're serious about wholesaling and flipping, you owe it yourself to check it out. To test drive Flipster for free and see if it's right for you, just go to joinflipster.com. The next step in the wholesale process is to open escrow with a local title company. Now we use ADA title, so once the contract was executed, the agent sent it to the title and I wired the $5,000 earnest money deposit. Finally, it's time to find a cash buyer. So watch this next video where I'm going to show you how I found a buyer and closed the deal for a $10,000 profit. Watch that now and I'll see you on the next video.